voices on the balcony as I wait for thee to come home. I fumble my words, yeah, my mind's a mess when you're in that dress. Glad you're home. Will you stay with me and never leave? You walked into my life and I am glad you came, glad you came. When you're not around I've been broken. Glad you came, glad you came. I was lost till I fell in your eyes. Had me wondering why I feel like home. I hold you close so you're by my side till the end of time before we go. Will you stay with me and never leave? You walked into my life and I am glad you came, glad you came. When you're not around I've been broken. Glad you came, glad you came, glad you came, glad you came, glad you came. I'm glad you came.
For probably about the past 10 years, maybe less, we've been making our own syrup every spring. The process isn't that difficult. It's been around for a long time. However, it is a very lengthy process. It involves finding maple trees, right? Hopefully you have to have maple trees on your property or somewhere that you're allowed to tap. And then basically you tap the tree by drilling a small hole in it, putting a tap in it, and then the sap that drips out of it you collect in buckets and then boil down, which leaves the sugar. So you're not boiling all the water out, but you're boiling a majority of the water out, which caramelizes the remaining sugars and creates maple syrup. Every spring, when the temperatures get to below freezing at night and above freezing and somewhat sunny during the day, that's your window to collect your sap. That's when it's going to be sweet. You need to do it before the trees bud out and open. About 3-4 months ago, it was probably November or December, a company reached out to me through my email called Membrane Solutions. And they said, hey, we want you to review our reverse osmosis filter. And I was like, dude, I'm an outdoor channel. I don't know what you want me to do. Like, you know, I don't think that's for me. Or they replied back with, hey, we saw your video on how you make maple syrup, and people use these to make these filter systems. And basically it filters out some of the water, so it helps your boil time. And I said, okay, now you've got my interest, you know. So I started researching. Before I even replied back to them, I researched for a couple days on what these systems were, these like sap processing, reverse osmosis, kind of membrane systems. And I liked what I saw, and these people were saying like it cuts their boil time in half, it strips a lot of the water out. So I replied back and I said, hey, I don't know much about this. It's gonna take me a few months to even get to syrup season, but I'll start collecting the parts, you know, and yeah, I'm willing to check this out. So they said, no problem. And they sent me one of their filters. So I researched it for a while, and over the next several months, I got some other parts like, you know, pump and tubing and a sediment filter and pressure gauges, and I was researching a lot of that. So basically the day of the boil, I set out to build it. And I didn't go crazy or elaborate with it, just a piece of plywood and a couple 2x4s for legs. So I really want to thank Membrane Solutions for sending me this filter and turning me on to this kind of pre-filtering system. I didn't have to filter as much, and I did notice when I finished my boil, I had less to filter out. I almost feel like I had less sugar sand. Usually that's the thing I struggle with. At the end, you get like kind of a little bit of sediment at the bottom of syrup. I feel like I had a lot less than that this year too. So what this is a backwoods reverse osmosis system. So essentially I'm taking the sap and I'm running it through a reverse osmosis filter, and I'm taking the waste of that. So normally a reverse osmosis filter will take dirty water coming in, filter out all the particulates and whatnot, and give you clean water at your tap, right? What we're doing is we're taking the waste of that. So the water's coming through from our sap bucket that we collected. I'm going through a filter in the bucket, going through another sediment filter here into our pump. Our pump is sending it through a sediment filter here that has a slight leak in it, but we're catching it and just recycling it. Going through my pressure gauge, we want about 100 PSI, so we're bouncing between about 100 and 105 there. And then it's going up and through, and this is our reverse osmosis filter from Membrane Solutions. So what that does is it runs down and it filters out that bad, right? And this is our clean water line. So I've got a clean water line going into this bucket here and capturing it. On the back side here, this line's going through. The back side, I've got another bucket back there capturing our wastewater, which is our sugar water. So it's filtering out all the water, and it's taking, not all of it, but it's going from about 3% sugar to about 8 to 10% sugar. Now, a lot of these I've seen online have like 3 or 4 of these lined up. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just running each bucket about 3 times. So it's taking around 20 minutes per bucket. So I'm just running each bucket about 20 times, and I'm building like a concentrate, and that's what I'm going to boil down. That should cut my boil time in half, if not more. The more I run it, the less time I'll have to boil. However, I do want to boil some of it out because I want to caramelize that sugar in the boiling process. You could, I guess, just keep running this hypothetically until you get down to just, you know, syrup, but it would be very clear. I don't know. I don't know if that would work or not. So basically I'm going to run this a few times now, over maybe the next hour, and then we'll start our boil process. I don't do big, fancy, elaborate systems like a lot of people have. A lot of people have dedicated sugar shacks, like sheds and buildings that they boil in.
What's up, Chuck?
They'll collect in big, giant 250-gallon vats. and they have evaporators and warmers in these giant pans. I just cook on a turkey fryer essentially in a pot and boil it out. It takes a while, but it's a day. You get to spend it outdoors and enjoy your day, and it's not bad. All right, so I got rid of that turkey fryer burner and went to the troop trailer and got some reinforcements. Got a double burner, so we're burning twice as fast. This new system's pretty good, man. It's 2 o'clock and I've got everything in the pots boiling, and I've only got maybe a gallon left to boil. We're doing really good. So here, let me show you what's going on. So I've got that one boiling and that pot, both boiling good. And then so maybe a gallon of concentrate left. Pretty cool. All right, I got to skim the top here. So I'm starting to get that foamy stuff on there, but I'm gonna skim the top and then I'm gonna boil away until we get down to 1 pot, and then probably boil away for another couple hours till it gets down to syrup. The act of collecting sap and stuff in the spring, to me, is really kind of calming, and it makes me feel almost connected to Mother Nature a little bit. It's a quiet, kind of peaceful experience. You've got, in the spring, you walk out there, you can usually feel the snow crunching under your feet, and you can tap the trees and you see them starting to drip into the bucket, and you're collecting it. It kind of is an exciting thing that kids like to get involved. We go fill out all the buckets every day and bring them in and store them. And then boil day is always an event. Sap boil day is like a full day. You got to prepare for it. You know, I'm getting ready for it the night before. You get the burner ready, you get your pot ready, you get all your filters and stuff, you're bringing out all your sap. I set up a chair out there, I'm monitoring it all day. I'm always watching it. You know, it's essentially, I'll make a campfire and sit around that and read while the thing boils. It's a whole day event. And I'm usually out there well into the night before we actually finish it. All right, so I'm losing daylight, which means I'm gonna be boiling into the dark again. Although the sky is looking a little bit cloudy behind me, like maybe there's some rain coming in. I gotta check the forecast. We're down to our last pot and I'm just over half a pot. So we are close. I'm gonna try to get this done tonight. If it starts raining though, I'll have to shut it down and then start over again tomorrow, finish it up tomorrow. But we are close. We've got maybe another hour to go, maybe a little bit more. I always feel like it's not long to go, and then I'm out here for like 3 hours getting to the finished boil point. So we've been boiling all day around 200 degrees. We want to get to about 218. So as the water gets out of the sap and we're left with caramelized sugar in there, that liquid in that pot will get thicker and thicker, and it will start to retain more heat. Now we want to get around 218 degrees, like I said, and that would give us a nice syrup. You know, if we go over that, we're gonna end up with molasses, meaning we've got it too thick. So that finished boil, or getting to that last little bit, is always the danger zone. A lot of people will boil all day they'll go inside to eat dinner, come back outside, and notice they've burned a hole through their pot. It goes that fast. When you get down to most of the water being out, it'll burn up the rest of that moisture in that syrup really, really quick. And you'll go from having a nice syrup to having, you know, tar in the bottom of your pot. So when it gets to this stage, I'm never really away from that pot very long. I'm always sitting out here. Usually it's a lot colder than this. Today is fairly nice. It's been like 40s and 50s all day. It's starting to drop a little bit as the sun's going down, but I'm usually sitting out here in 10-degree weather, you know, shivering in the dark with a spotlight on my forehead, watching the thermometer. So we'll see if I'm doing that tonight or not, but I'm not going to film any of that because all you'll see is darkness and a blue flame from the burner. So we're almost there. Good morning. So last night I boiled till actually a lot earlier than normal. Normally I'm out there till almost midnight. Last night I stopped boiling around 9 o'clock and we actually hit temp. So we hit 218 last night. It started frothing up. It'll boil up, kind of bubble up, kind of like spaghetti noodles, right? When you're boiling spaghetti noodles, it'll kind of give that like that where it bubbles up, tries to boil over. It kind of got like that last night and we hit 218. I kept it there for maybe a couple minutes and called it quits for the night. So I brought it in the garage and let it cool. Let it cool till it stopped steaming, came down to temp, and then put a lid on it for the night. So this morning I am bringing it back up to temp. I'm not bringing it to 218. I'm bringing it to around 185, and I'm going to run it through a filter. So I'm going to run it through a filter. It looks like this, right? It's basically a giant coffee filter, essentially. And I'm going to pour it into this stainless steel bowl that I've got inside this pot here. So I'm going to run it through. I put a couple extra paper towels in it just to grab any sediment that I can as I pour it through. And the reason I'm heating it up is the warmer you get it, the easier it'll flow, right? So, you know, obviously when syrup is cool, it's thicker. So we're going to heat it up, get it warm. I'm going to run it through this filter a couple times and then maybe once or twice through. Then I'm going to put it into a 1-gallon jug and let that cool. And from that point, then I can bottle it. With maple syrup, you get what's called sugar sand in it at times. And what that means is it's kind of like little bits of grit. It's totally healthy and fine to eat. You can eat it, you can consume it. It's not going to hurt you in any way. It just doesn't look visually appealing in the bottles. And if you bottle it, just run it right through, you don't filter it, and you bottle it right away. Once that syrup settles, you'll come back to grab another bottle and you'll see it kind of floating in the bottom. Now you can shake the bottle up and problem solved, and it'll, you know, just kind of a natural thing, just like you would with orange juice, right? Shake it up and put it on your pancakes and you're good to go. However, I like to try to filter that out if I can. So I bring it to temp, I'll pour it in a jug and I'll let that cool. And then essentially I'll pour off the top of that jug. So that sediment will kind of, or that sugar sand will kind of settle to the bottom of the jug, and I'll pour it cool into the bottles, pour it off the top. And when I get down to that bottom, I'll pour that into a pot, heat that back up again, and try to filter that remaining little bit out into a small little bottle. All right, that's it. We got this much sap. We got what, 12, 13, 16 bottles of syrup out of 20 gallons of sap. Most of these I put in like little small travel bottles. And I do that just because it's easier to take with us when we go camping or just have in the fridge and not take up a ton of space. And then I save maybe these bigger bottles for the fridge or for just in the house. I also give a bunch of these away. So friends and family and neighbors and stuff, they usually get a small bottle. Because again, this was 20 gallons of sap and took several weeks to do. I want to thank Membrane Solutions for sending me the filter, the reverse osmosis filter that we ran everything through. It definitely cut my boil time in half, if not more. I've never finished that early in the day before, and I honestly got a late start because I built the thing that day, the day of the boil. So next year when I run this thing, I will probably be done halfway through the day. So again, huge thanks to them. I'm definitely going to be buying more of their filters so that I can chain those things together. If you're interested in that, I'll put a link to their site down below where you can pick up one of these for yourself. So with all that being said, that's it for today. If you like this type of content, subscribe down below, give me a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think of the reverse osmosis system. A little different for me. I know it's been around for a little while here, but that was new to me. I'm used to just boiling out of a pot. I don't have the big crazy elaborate setups like a lot of these people do for syrup, you know, where they've got the evaporators and the warmers and everything else. I'm getting to that point. I think this is a step towards that. So anyway, let me know what you think down below, do all this stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.